Welcome to the Filthy Truth Exposed with Bilbo Baggins and the Filthy Phil. What's going on?
Filthy Phil, it's good to talk to you again.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you. The Filthy Truth Exposed. Today we're going to cover robot rights and should robots even have them?
Yeah.
Androids, animatrons.
Animatrons. What the hell is that?
It's like a robot.
It's like a Chuck E. Cheese thing, right? It's like
Yeah, that's an animatronic. Yeah, that's an
animatronic.
Right on.
Right on.
Those are robots.
That's true. They are.
Those are
really
robots, and they're
pretty goofy robots. I'm not worried about those things taking over. You know what I mean?
they're powered with air,
Yeah,
or hydraulics. Yeah.
Remember that video I sent you of the those Amazon Scout robots near my house?
Yeah, the little droid that like drives around. It's got like 6 wheels. Drives
Yeah.
around on the sidewalks. It's like the size of like a couple bread boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I saw that thing, I totally wanted to just kick the shit out of it. You know what I mean? Like I was like,
Kick it.
or
You
I was
kick it
thinking,
in.
there's two things I thought of, right? Is either like put some garbage in the can where you're supposed to take out stuff, you know,
Oh yeah.
or add some or put some funny decoration on it. I kind
Stick
of
like
feel
a
more
flower
towards
pot
the
on
fun.
top of it.
What's that?
Stick something on top of it and see if it carries it.
Yeah, like maybe something on the flag, you know, like some obscene gesture. I don't know.
Kick me, I'm a dumb robot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the first
But
thing that popped in my head. I couldn't believe how I was so like. That's why, by the way, this is going to be called Robot Wars and Robot Rights. That's the title I came up with. Working title,
okay.
that is.
Okay, that's a good starting point, I think, because I mean that's a very basic robot that it doesn't do a whole lot except drive from place to place. It has a GPS system and things like that. But if
Yeah.
you do kick it, if you pick it up or if you move it around, it
Yeah.
has an alarm system on it.
Yeah. What's it going to do
So,
to me?
well,
A
it's not going to.
self-destruction button.
It won't do anything at this point, but at some point it may electrocute you. You know, in the future, it could be like if
It's
you touch
true.
this thing, it could electrocute you or zap you or
Yeah.
arrest you.
It's right. It's true.
Yeah.
All
It could
right.
have a gun on it. I mean, that's probably how the robot wars start, is like with when they become deadly, when they become more powerful than your
Yeah.
average human.
So, what do you think is the good thing with robots? Like, what do you feel is like going to be for the future? What are some of the different industries that can be affected, and how do you see things going?
Well, I think what's happening right now is like self-driving cars.
Okay, sure.
So in a sense, like those are kind of robots, like they're advanced robots.
Definitely.
They can see the road, they know where they are, they can drive you around safely if they want to. They could also drive you off a cliff if they decide to. Right. At some point.
I've heard that they're for now they're going to call them, it's driver assist, so that way you're still driving the car, but where they're going to be fully automatic, that's going to be interesting. I don't know if are we there yet as far as that goes?
Well, they're trying to do that. I think eventually we'll be there. Yeah, it'll be like I'm thinking of like the Jetsons or something like that, where you just tell it where to go and it just takes you there.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
yeah,
so
right now they're driver assisted, so we're still in control of the robotics,
right.
and the computer brain.
So do you realize that even in that first stage, we're not talking about way advanced stuff, we're just talking about early stuff. Once we get to the point where we have vehicles that can basically drive themselves, then truck drivers, you might as well
Yeah.
pack it. You might as well start thinking about a different job, because
Yeah.
you're done. The only thing I can think of is that there's the offloading and stuff, but even that, you could have a
Robots, yeah.
robot already on the truck that does the offloading.
Yeah, robot forklift.
Right.
Yeah.
Uber drivers, Instacart shoppers.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Say
Yeah.
bye-bye, because you're done. You're dunskies. You know what I'm saying?
And even like artificial intelligence, like maybe it's not a physical robot, but there's an artificial intelligence. Like you call customer service, it's not a person anymore, it's a computer that's answering your questions.
Seems like they already have those, Yeah, it's true. Okay, so but as far as the future goes too, I mean, I know that there's robots that help with in the medical field. So for instance, doing operations and things like that. But I could see robots, for instance, like when in a hospital you have nurses. Okay, so you need a robot to do blood pressures, to do temperature, all that stuff, as far as like just basic routine stuff. You could actually have, I mean, I don't think you could fully replace a nurse, but pretty darn close. I think they could do routine tasks. So I could see them doing in those kind of settings too. So there's that.
Right. There's also there is a like a doctor bot or a nurse bot. It like goes from room to room. It has like a little face on it, like a smiley face, a happy face,
Yeah.
and it'll ask you questions and then you respond to it, and it'll record that information.
Yeah.
They also have robots that go from room to room in a hotel, like a room service robot.
Right.
It'll bring you your food, and then it'll go back down the hallway and down the elevator and back down to the restaurant.
That sounds
So
good.
yeah, they're going to take over a lot of jobs, and I mean, obviously they already have.
So, what about as far as like the negative aspect of robots? Like what do you see happening? Let's talk about near future and then we can think about later on. And then we get to rights, right? So,
Yeah, they're taking over jobs.
so
But then in the future, they could become dangerous.
they
They
could
could
get
be
dangerous. Yeah.
they could be law enforcement robots. They could be spying robots. They could fly around and spy on you. They could follow you from place to place.
Right. So now here's a weird take that I thought about when I think about robots. I think robots could be used if we think about them the correct way, that they could be used as a tool, almost like a slave, you know what I mean? Like they
Sure.
can be there to help us and they could actually really improve things. Obviously, when things are dangerous, robots can take over a lot of those activities that normally we, put us out of danger, but they're going to replace a lot of different jobs. So which you pointed out. But the thing is that I think the heart of the problem isn't necessarily the robots, but it's kind of like our system, because the way that kind of capitalism works, right, is like the business wants to make the most money, and one way they can do that is by getting rid of, either lowering the pay of the workers or just getting rid of them entirely. And so to me the farthest extreme of capitalism is the owners, or you could say the shareholders, get all the profit, and that's it. And then there's only a few workers, there's hardly anybody left.
Yeah,
Well, then
robot
how does that
repairmen.
work
Yeah.
when no one has jobs? Like if no one's working, well, if only the people that are super, I guess you could just have people that are super rich and then everyone else is really poor. But if you think about it though, we have all these new technologies that have happened when it comes to the internet, and now I can't think of anything else, but but basically it seems like it hasn't really ended work. Those things didn't really end jobs. There's some things that we thought, oh, that's going to be the end of everything, but it seems like with each new technology, it doesn't really hasn't done what I thought. It hasn't really ended, working.
Yeah, we could people could work less, maybe less hours, so maybe you get paid
Yeah.
more per hour. The robots are doing most of the heavy labor, and humans could be more employed doing like thinking jobs, like thinking beyond the capabilities of robots at that time. But I think it really leads us down an apocalyptic path. It kind of like a um, we'll probably spend a lot more time in VR, in virtual reality, which in a
Yeah.
way is kind of turning us into robots in a
Yeah.
sense, because we're living in a technological world at that point, with the VR helmet on.
Yeah.
But we could get we could get a lot of satisfaction through VR, through a VR helmet, in a sense.
Mhm.
But we're we humans could become like a hive mind,
Yeah.
right? Where these corporations are profiting off of our brain power somehow.
Yeah.
Where we're locked into this visual and auditory world.
Yeah.
While the robots are doing all the labor, they're actually picking up things and moving things and building things and designing things, where we're just in this trance.
Right. Right.
Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
healthy. Like
Those are all
I
good
don't think
points.
it's going to end well, really.
So I wanted to read you something that I heard about. Okay, so one of the presidential candidates in France, he recently proposed a tax on robots as a part of his campaign. He said that companies that replace workers with machines face higher charges to offset the incentives to remove humans from the equation. I guess Bill Gates kind of said similar things. You can't just give up that income tax. So I thought that was interesting that they're saying, oh, if you take out whole sectors of where workers are completely gone, that there should be some kind of compensation for it. I kind of think that's like a wet dream. You know what I mean? Like it'd be nice, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I don't know, not in this country anyway.
Yeah, that's like the tax bot.
The tax bot. So I mean, obviously, I told you my story that I kind of had that feeling of like destroying robots. Like I just somehow that was in me. What do you think fuels that? Like, what's the why do people want to go out and just destroy robots? Like, what's the deal?
Did you feel like it's did you feel like it's leading to an apocalyptic world, like where
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
taking over somebody's job? You can see somebody's job disappearing right there, right before your eyes. That little robot is doing the task that a human would normally do, delivering a package.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I
you
think
feel
that's
bad
a part
for
of it.
humans. You're it's kind of protecting humans to destroy a robot.
Yeah.
You're saying humans are better than robots,
Hmm.
but at the same time, you're kind of admitting that you're afraid of robots taking over. So you're admitting
Yeah.
that in a way, robots are more capable of doing some of these tasks than humans.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I will admit it 100%.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so one other question I have too is what about in the situation when a robot hurts someone? Where, as far as legality goes, who gets that blame? Is it going to
Who's
be,
responsible?
yeah,
Yeah.
the owner of the robot, the manufacturer? Is or we get to the point, if robots have rights, then we have the problem of, oh no, yeah, I made the robot, but the robot's on its own, it did its own thing. You need to sue the robot, which of course it means nothing, right? So robots can start doing things. Then I also thought about, like, with the police force, you could start seeing, I mean, robots helping the police, and then they can do stuff, and they could just be like, well, the robot did it. I didn't do it.
Yeah, it was bad
It's not
programming
my
or
fault.
something. Yeah.
It opens up a whole, I don't know, some crazy stuff. So, um, but yeah,
Kind
I
of
kind of
like
feel,
RoboCop. It makes you think of RoboCop and Terminator.
yeah. So I'm going to probably mess up this quote, but it's something I was reading, and it said, now this is more for like the rights of robots, right? And basically it was saying, well, only humans, only people with conscience, whatever, should be able to have rights. And of
Consciousness,
course,
like,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
exactly. But see, at the time when rights were given out, it was only certain people had rights. So for instance, women couldn't vote, and there was slaves, you know what I mean? So it wasn't until later on that they started saying these people have equality. So it's a circular argument where we deny these things of rights, but of course robots aren't living things, so that it's a long ways, I feel like a long ways to go before we think of them as being, actual people, you know?
Yeah, this is okay. I want to find at what point would you feel enough emotion where you would protect the robot? Like at what type of robot would you actually
Right.
protect, right? So say R2D2 comes by, or like the Amazon robot, right? Obviously you don't
Right.
care if I kick the shit out of that robot, you're fine with
Right.
that. That doesn't hurt your feelings. You don't feel bad for the robot.
Yeah.
But now what if it's still metallic and it speaks, it's now speaking English, right?
Right.
So I'm just I destroy it. Like say I pull its arm off, or I cut some wires that that are exposed on it. Like I'm
Right.
thinking of C3PO. So
Sure.
now, so say I pull C3PO's arm off, and he says, "Hey, you're hurting me, sir. Why are you hurting me?" Then do
Right.
you
Right.
feel bad at that point? Would you protect
Yeah.
the
It's
robot? Would you stop me from hurting that
See,
robot?
that's the thing. Once they can start talking and saying,
Yeah,
"Ow," like if they can
yeah.
cry, like "Ooh,"
Emotions.
like they, even though it's like it's basically like fake emotion, like they're really not feeling any pain. They're
Yeah.
just mimicking what their programmers told them to do. You know what I mean? So for me personally, I don't think that's enough. But I think if you're talking about most people, I think that's the first step. Is like, for instance, you take a Roomba. Right now, all it does is it just goes around and it cleans stuff, right? The next level is it'll say, "Oh, I need my filter changed." You know, "Oh, that hurt. Oh, you need to put the batteries in there because I don't feel good." You know, but like as soon as you make it like start to be, starts talking to you. "Oh, how's your day? Oh, I heard about that." And like, and the more it can like interact with you, like you start talking to it and it understands, and it can like make up stuff, like make up stories. Man, pretty soon you'll have a conversation with it. You feel like it's like a real thing. Not you and I. We're freaking smart enough to know that it's still a piece of shit. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah,
We
because
still want to kick its head in, right? But
you know
everybody
that it's
else,
programmed. It's
I'm sorry,
programmed emotions.
those
You're
are just
recognizing that
programmed
it's
emotions.
programmed. Okay, now get this idea though.
Okay.
Now imagine a robot that's mostly like wires and metal, but it has an sort of the brain element of it, or the emotional center is actually formed in a lab, like organically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So say it's a some sort of an animal's brain or human's brain that's been
Yeah.
sort of cloned and then placed into this robot. So now the emotions are not coming from programming, they're
Right.
actually kind of biologically created
Yeah.
somehow and then integrated with the wiring and the circuitry at the
Right.
same time. So now you,
Mm-hmm.
filthy Phil, you're understanding that the emotions are now biological emotions while
Right.
it's still a machine. Now, how do you feel about that if I
Yeah,
abuse
now
it?
we're starting to get into actual rights. Like now we have to think, oh, okay. There's actually what I'm going to call this is what we would call secondary rights. So it is probably slightly under where animals are. You know what I mean? So they're we still look down upon them, but they're enough to the point where we still don't think it's right that you hurt them in some way. You know that you're causing harm. So, because animals are kind of at that somewhat, depending on which animal it is, right? I mean, but yeah. So that becomes what they call secondary rights. So that's really interesting stuff. So
I still say that it's still a robot.
yeah, okay, yeah,
It's
I could
not.
see
I
that.
say that it's below animal. It's below animals still at that point because it's still man-made. Like
Yeah,
if we breed dogs, then it's they're not man-made animals. They're still
right.
animals that are bred organically. They have feelings, they have lives, and they have thought patterns
So
that are natural. But if a human is creating any type of robot, even when you
right.
get down to like data from the next generation,
Hmm.
or the the androids from Blade Runner,
Okay.
they're still man-made.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
for me that's where I'm seeing the line is like if it's man-made, then it has no rights. It should
What if
never
it?
have
What if
any
it's
rights.
robot made though? What if we were talking about this earlier? What
Yeah.
if it's a robot that made it and it's unique? You know, that's another.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I
So
think it should have even less rights.
you, that's right. Yeah, I hear you. No, I know what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so I want to just let's just go of what your thought that you're the things that you're saying. But let me give you a scenario. I'm going to walk you through this thing, and I want to ask you where you stand. Okay.
Okay.
So imagine. Okay, so I'm human, right? You know that, or at least you think I'm
Well,
human. Right?
yeah.
It appears that I'm human, right? But you
It
never know,
appears it
right?
appears that way. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let's say I need there's something wrong on my arm. So they're gonna chop off my arm and replace it with a mechanical arm. Fully mechanical arm.
Like Luke
Am
Skywalker,
I less human than I was before?
less
Do you still
human.
listen, do you still
No.
consider me a human?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's say that now that I did my arm, let's say that now my heart gets replaced with a mechanical heart, which
Yeah.
art is already exists, right? People
Yeah.
can have. So am I less human?
No.
I am less human or not human?
Well,
Listen, be
less
practical
human.
about what I'm saying. If my heart gets replaced,
Your heart. Yeah, that's different than
just
your
my
arm.
heart. Yeah. Well, no, that's already people who have issues with their heart. They got to get it replaced,
Yeah.
right? So,
I'm just saying that is
you see them
that
as
seems
less of a human.
no.
You
No.
don't see them as okay. So now that my heart and this has been replaced, now we go to
Yeah.
my brain, and
Right.
let's
Yeah.
say I have. Hey, people get dementia. They have something wrong with their brain. They have a
Yeah.
mental illness. So now the function that used for brain power, we actually let's just say that we end up could transplant a mechanical brain that works just as well as a regular brain.
Mm.
Now am I still human or am I not?
No. I'm gonna say no. I feel like my first thought is no. You're
Okay.
not human at
So
that point.
here's the
Yeah.
funny part is that basically what you've told me is my heart and my brain and other parts of my body you don't mind. But at some point you realize that if we keep replacing stuff that there's nothing left of what was originally me to begin with.
Right. No.
And
No.
at that point, guess what you have? A mechanical device that's fully automated that can do all kinds of shit.
Yeah. It's like a robotic
It just
internal, but
basically I
just a
just slowly
flesh
replace
suit.
myself piece by piece. And you've said all so far you've said, oh, no problem, no problem, no
No.
problem.
No. I think you
And now
misunderstood me actually. Because no, I want to say that my first reaction was if your brain was replaced with a mechanical computer, then I would say you cease to be a human at that point. You're not human.
so you think that it's the brain is
I
the
think
thing that
so.
holds
I think so. Yeah.
the but what if it was just like a clone, like you just transplanted a brain from one brain to the other? That's okay.
Well, that
Is that more like Frankenstein stuff? Yeah.
that's Frankenstein, but I feel like that is still human because you have a human brain, and I think you should retain your full rights. But if once your brain is replaced with a machine, I feel like you're a machine.
Okay.
You just have biological parts that move and interact with the world, but all of your thoughts are computer.
Okay, so let me ask you this then: would a person have to be if a person's would you have to have consciousness in order to be considered human?
How do you judge consciousness?
I don't know, like they have something has consciousness.
Are animals self-aware?
Yeah, I think somewhat. I mean, maybe some of them are, but yeah, I guess that gets tricky. Like, what do you consider conscious?
Yeah.
I guess what I was trying to lead you, it was supposed to be like a trap, but it didn't work.
Okay.
But the point I was going to try to make is people that have, they're on late stage, like, have some kind of mental issues where they don't know where they are and that kind of stuff, where they're basically kind of like walking vegetables. We would say that we still think of them as human, but I guess that's not a good example as far as robots go. But also right now we're thinking of robots only as pieces of metal. And I feel like eventually the whole, genetics and everything, those things are going to be, you know, they're going to come together, right? They're going to have, as far as machinery, they don't need necessarily, a robot doesn't need to be made of metal. Would that change the way you think of robots if they were made of actual human, you know, stuff? You know what I mean? Like actual human material?
Like completely organic, like anywhere
Yes.
you cut it, it's going to bleed,
Yes.
basically.
Feels
It has.
pain and everything.
So, well, what about like is like cloning a human?
Yeah.
Well, a cloned human is still fully human. I
Yeah.
think
So fully
it's
human.
not a
Yeah.
robot,
True.
but like in Blade Runner, where they kind of grow these android people. They're not human.
Yeah.
So I think you could grow something that's biological, and it's not human. It's you can only be human. You can only be human if 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 you're created in the way that we know humans are created,
Yeah. It's true.
naturally, not not by not by one person, not by a scientist grows something biologically. That's not human.
Yeah. I hear you. That sounds good, man. Well, hey, I think this was a good discussion. Is there anything more that you want to add? I wasn't sure if we covered everything, but oh yeah, I have one last thing I want to say. Um, what about like these sex robots? They're way. I've heard that they're not very advanced, right? They're not quite there yet, but they're working on it. Eventually I could see, you know, people, you know, they leave their wife because they're like, oh, my sex robots, it understands me better than you, honey. You know what I mean? And so I could see that where people have, I mean, relationships with these robots, you know, and
That's an
it's going to
interesting
be
point.
freaky, you know. I mean, it's
So okay, yeah. So what would you do if there was somebody who had a relationship with a robot? I mean, it seems like we're thinking about men having robot women as like their mate, but it
it
could
could
be
go either way.
it
Yeah,
could go the other way.
sure, of course.
So what would you do if somebody had a mate that was actually a robot,
Hmm.
and they claim that they loved their robot? They're in love with their robot. They want to
Yeah,
marry their robot, right? That kind of thing. They live with their
yeah,
robot. They dress it up. Then, if I dismantled that robot,
yeah. You'd be
then
taking,
that human would be crushed. They would be
yeah.
emotionally. So, what would you give any rights to that type of robot?
No.
You wouldn't.
I
But that
can't help if
person,
people are delusional. You know what I mean? There's nothing I can do.
you
You
just
shouldn't
call
have
it
formed that
delusion.
kind of relationship. You should have checked with your psychotherapist or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
Sorry,
okay,
but you know, you're just
would
mentally ill, you know?
would you outlaw those type of
No,
relationships with
no, of
robots
course not.
then?
I mean,
No.
people should, you know, people are allowed to have fun and do their thing. You know, we're not trying to stop people's, you know, from trying out shit. You know what I mean? But you know, um,
What if somebody loved that little Amazon six-wheeled robot riding down your sidewalk?
I really don't care, man. I'm telling you. And I feel the same thing about drones, man. I told you about that.
Oh, the drones,
Get
yeah.
off my lawn. I'm gonna shoot you. Like that's how I feel, man. Like I've never considered myself that way, but when I think of robots, man, I just want to shoot them, you know? Like I'm just like, robot wars is coming. So what I'm telling everyone is you got to get prepared. They're coming for your jobs. They're coming for your loved ones.
They are.
We
That's
got to
true.
stop them. It's now time. Now listen, I'm going to tell you, the viewer, what you got to do. You want to like and subscribe so you can be prepared for the coming war. The robot wars are coming. So you got to like and subscribe, tune in, and that will really help things, right? That's the secret.
Do you ever, when you're like surfing, when you're surfing the web, or you have to fill out a form, or
Yeah.
pay for something online, do you ever click that box that says "I'm not a robot"?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? Like they're already asking us, "Are you a robot?" And you're like,
We're like,
"No."
no, no, yeah.
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 But it's not going to be long till
You
robots are
know,
like, No, I'm not a
I
robot
actually
either.
screw up on those sometimes. It'll say circle all of the traffic lights, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And then what's weird is there'll be like a little corner of it. It'll be like the light, and then there'll be like the little corner will be in the other picture. And you kind of go, well, is that a light? Is that like sometimes I get confused. I feel like it's an intelligency test because I'm like, I don't know if that do
Yeah.
I click that? And
Or
sometimes I get it wrong, you know?
or Filthy Phil might be a robot.
Yeah, it could be.
He
Yeah.
might be a robot.
Yeah. So Blade Runner, man, that's yeah, that's such a great movie, man. Such a futuristic, thing. So yeah, but I'm telling you, man, robots are really scary, I think, in a lot of ways. But there's some good things about robots too. So um yeah, man, I don't think anything else to add. I don't think so. I think we're gonna wrap it up. I don't know what's coming up, but we're gonna do another episode, hopefully coming soon. So like and subscribe, and hey, thanks for listening to us, right? I mean,
Yeah, and we should also let people know that the Filthy Truth Exposed podcast is on Spotify and YouTube.
yes.
So if you just want to listen to the audio version, you can go over to Spotify and listen to all of our podcasts there too.
And I'll tell you, we really love to hear your comments. Maybe there's some things that we're not doing that you want to hear. You want to hear more stuff about, or there's something about me that annoys you. Like honestly, anything you have to say, I can't wait to just get your ideas. And we want to know from other people like what's going on, and we want to improve the show. So with that, I want to say goodbye. So Filthy Phil says goodbye.
Until
That's
next
a
time.
horrible
Yeah.
ending right there. That's but that's okay.